This video is going to be about the rival options for the Brompton G-Line Electric, not the regular Brompton G-Line. If you are interested in that bike, I have several videos on it. Make sure to check out my Brompton playlist. There are links at the end of the video and also below. Make sure to check out my shop and my book and all of that. This video is going to focus on the rivals of the G-Line Electric, which, as I mentioned in a previous video, I do not think very highly of. Brompton as a company is continuing its downward slide, unfortunately, but it's not to say that it is a useless bike. I'm just saying there are options if you're not happy with it. Before going any further, I should acknowledge that the channel has crashed through 12,000 subscribers. In fact, as of this recording, it's getting closer to 13,000 and keeps on climbing. Here is the G-Line, which I have been criticizing ever since the beginning. I don't like this aluminum, very likely machine-made prefab corner cutting fork here. I don't like the design overall. Somebody just gave out the order to the design department. We need to fit 20-inch wheels into the classic frame. They did it in the shortest possible time. They just basically squeezed the wheels in, and to make sure that the fold still works, they raised this whole arch, and it just does not look like the way it still does if you buy one of the classic steel models. I'm not sure about this curve either, and the rear triangle, I wonder if this is also something machine made. But there are many other problems which I'm going to discuss as well. It's basically underpowered. It has 250 watts and it does not have much of any gearing either. If I'm going to go with an in-wheel hub motor, which is what I have on my Interceptor, then I definitely want regenerative braking or electronic braking, however you want to call it. You're not getting that with this model. So you are underpowered and you can't even brake electronically. With my ride, I love the electronic braking, and I don't think there's anybody who's ever had it who would go back using mechanical pads, which is true of even the hydraulic disc brake. The weight is not too bad, 36 pounds, but you're not going that far, so it's not a very big range. It's not a very big motor either. Compared to my 500, which has been clocked to 700, this is really underwhelming. You can buy my book and replicate what I have built. Even on the G-Line, you can replicate it. But a lot of people want something ready-made, something that comes out of the box, and I completely understand it. So they don't have the time to figure it out, how to build it. They want something straight out of the box, and you have options. The first one I'm going to look at is the Tern. This gives you the same 20-inch wheels as you get with the Brompton. It's a lot cheaper. We don't know the US price of the Brompton G Electric yet, but it's going to be more than $4,000. Their mechanical G is about the same price as this electric Vektron. The motor in it is a center drive. And even if it was only 250, the center drive is powering the crank, not the wheel hub. You have far more of a leverage. You can see the torque. You get a very significant torque. You can climb with this bike much better than you could with the Brompton, notwithstanding that the motor is probably not all that big. Also, this is a Bosch drive. Bosch so far has the reputation, their electric drive, not having had a single mistake. I have not heard of anybody complaining about it, and it is very well supported. A lot of companies use it. So you have advantage with a much better drivetrain. I really like the mudguard idea. I understand there's a little bit of a mudguard here, but this is like a full covering of the chain, which is so much better than exposing the chain like this. So a lot of people buy the Brompton not really because they want to climb the mountains on weekends, but because they want to get to work without breaking their butt on the potholes in the city. The Brompton certainly does have an excellent fold. better or more compact than any of the other folds. But that's not to say that this kind of a fold and being able to wheel it on the actual 20-inch wheels is no competition. The way the Brompton wheels is made for really like shopping or packing stuff into the front bag. You cannot do that with the Tern, but you can wheel it a lot faster on these big wheels because you don't have training wheels. You are using the actual bicycle wheels to move the bike once folded. And it folds quickly. I actually prefer the manual lock mechanism of the Brompton. I think it's a lot more secure, a lot more trustworthy. And of course, the Brompton at the center part of the frame is still made of steel by hand the way it should be. This is an aluminum frame. Nothing wrong with that. The Birdie has aluminum frames also, but this spring-operated latch is not as cool as the Brompton's. The wiring is external, just like on the Brompton. It is very neatly done. I do like it. There's a built-in light. That's very nice. The battery is placed slightly lower than on the Brompton, but toward the back. I actually prefer the Brompton's front because most of your body weight is going to be put on the rear wheel. You can feel it. I have my battery in the front as well. You can just feel that it balances the whole bike a lot better. You get a lot closer to 50-50 weight distribution, which is supposedly guaranteed with any BMW car, just so you know it. The rack is massively integrated. It's attached to the frame at several points, so you can probably pack an awful lot. Unlike with the Brompton, which has a much more flimsy little rack and it's very low, also you may end up kicking it. You're looking at the pedal, yeah, probably gonna be kicking this bag. This one is a little better. Unless you push your luggage all the way here, you're not gonna kick it, but then some people might want to push it in. So these low rear racks on small wheel bikes can be a problem. Typically you want to attach a diagonal rack or backpack or something like that to handle it. I would say it's not a bad looking bike. It's not endorsed on this channel. I'm giving it an honorable mention. But because of its cheap price and what it gives you, I think it's a very valid alternative to the Brompton. It's sturdy, and for a machine-made frame, it is really well made. Then there is the Gocycle. The Gocycle is endorsed on this channel. It is much more expensive. There have been some unhappiness about the durability or quality of it. The bottom line is it's all proprietary. Everything is custom made. It's not something you can easily work on at home. But the design is absolutely beautiful. The wheel, the chain drivetrain is fully covered. You get a bit of suspension in the rear, which the Tern unfortunately does not have. And you have a one-side suspended front wheel, so you can replace flat very easily, just like with a Vespa scooter. You have exotic materials, I mean, carbon fiber, magnesium, you name it. You have the same kind of fold as with the Tern. You move the bike on the actual wheels. It moves fast in a folded situation, but it doesn't have a shopping cart kind of an experience. 20 an hour is very low for the American road. 15 an hour is a scandal. It should not be done, especially for a company that focuses so much on the US market, urban areas like New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., all of that. The drivetrain of this thing, the electric motor, is a hub motor that's in the front. It's not all that powerful. Unfortunately, the top speed is limited to 15 miles per hour, just like the Brompton, which I do not like, and that's very problematic for me. I would not choose this bike, but if speed is not a concern for you, it's a very nice and very compact bike to have. It's not very heavy either. You have 500 watts for the US, which is really nice. It is twice the power you get with the Brompton. And the price, honestly, is not going to be much more than you would be paying for the Brompton. It's a much more beautiful bike, much cooler bike. You can fix your flats without having to remove the wheel. I love that. You can load other tires as well. You don't have to go with the Gocycle tire. That's what they sell you the bike with. But you can get your own. It's a standard, about 2-inch, 2.5-inch wide, and it's 20 inches in diameter, just like with the Brompton. I'm not sure about repairs because I don't see Gocycle stores, and I don't see this cycle supported by local stores very much, so that might be a concern. I do like the fully covered drivetrain. I'm not sure why they were using the chain, because they are using a hub gear system in the rear. By the way, the Tern uses an external cassette, which is less desirable, not as weather resistant. This is very nice. They could have just done a belt drive, but they have done this. It's certainly very clean. The chain is protected. You only need to remove this cover if you are replacing the chain, and that's not going to happen very often. So this is a totally valid option for the Brompton G line. Then here's another bike I am endorsing, and I have reviewed this bike in the past. This is a surprisingly lightweight bike. According to Bike Friday, this is the lightest of the Bosch folding e-bikes. The battery you cannot put on an airplane. You would have to ship it by land or sea to be there. If you're traveling, by the time you get there, it's going to be there, or by truck or whatever. It's actually a pretty attractive bike. It's made out of steel. It's hand built. It lasts forever in most cases if you take care of it. A lot of people love these bikes. They last for a long time. It is a truly privately owned family business. You can get any number of custom colors, custom configurations. You can get a roll-off hub in the rear if you don't like this. You can get a belt drive, pretty much anything you would want to get. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to the people who build my bike and to get support from them for as long as I own the bike. There is an ugly rear rack I don't like, but I think there's plenty of packing without. Also, the idea is that this is a packable bike. Obviously, you're not going to roll it as nicely as you can roll the others. This is purely for travel purposes or around your own neighborhood. If you don't travel, then it's even better. Not a nice fold, I admit that. No competition to the others in terms of folding. But this is something you put into a suitcase or inside a car. This is the rear rack I don't like. It's ugly. You don't really need it. They made it like this probably because of the fold. But now you can see a belt drive option as well. That's really neat, with a hub, which is probably a roll-off hub. You have a number of options for the drivetrain, by the way. You have the standard disc brakes. Unfortunately, because this is a center drive, you don't have electronic braking, which I'm just so crazy about. It's a nice bike, an unusual design, but a nice bicycle nevertheless. And you can have the number of tires even wider than 2 inches. So you have options and color options too, which I really like. This one is nice. A fancy braiding on the wires, external wiring, but very nice. How much do you pay for something like this? Unfortunately, so far, this is the most expensive of all of them. This bike is over $5,000 without any fancy configurations. If you want the roll-off with the belt drive, that's going to be an extra $3,300. So we are going up to $8,500. That's a lot, but this is hand built and it's probably going to last a lifetime. So I definitely do recommend it. Not for the cheapskate, for sure, but a very nice bike, worth the money. Even higher, a little bit higher, for about the same, well, a little bit more pricey. The Tinker made by Riese und Müller, where my birdie was made. Almost $7,000 to start with. But first of all, you get front suspension. You get a little bit of, not rear suspension, just a bit of under seat suspension, which is good to have. You get a belt drive. They are now going with this new CVT hub gear system, which I'm not too crazy about. It is not as wide a gear range as a roll-off. I think it's cheaper than the roll-off, and that's probably why they are going with it. I would prefer to go with the roll-off. This is not a folding bike. It's a compact bike. You can pull out the seat post. You can fold this down all the way onto the frame, and you can even remove the front wheel, especially if you have a quick release, or you can switch to a quick release. You can even, once you remove and fold everything, you can even turn it up so that it's on the rear wheel, and it's probably going to fit into most revolving doors. Not that this bike would be my first choice to commute to a business building in Manhattan, because I wouldn't want to go through all of that every day. So this is mostly just like the Bike Friday, to pack it in a car, on a train, into a suitcase, or just use it locally. I'm not sure as to how much power you get from this center drive. This is also a Bosch drive. And I'm sure this is speed limited to 20 miles an hour like the rest of them. And you have to pay extra for a lot of the stuff that they offer. Here is the Bosch systems, the motor, the batteries. It's a very reliable system, but it's not very powerful. It is center drive though, so the torque is going to be there. You can climb anything with a center drive. And it's got ABS, whatever that means. I don't know what that means in the center drive. Maybe if it slips, if the bike slips, then the support stops. But it's not powering the wheels, so I'm not sure how much that is really worth. There are no models to choose from. This is basically the same thing. It's a heavy bike, 55 pounds, very heavy. It's really like a moped that has pedals attached. But other than the hub gear in the rear, the CVT, this is really top quality components throughout. It's very well equipped and under $7,000, so it is cheaper than getting a Bike Friday with a roll-off and belt drive. Would I prefer this one? Depends on how you use it. I do like the Bike Friday a lot, but I do like this one as well. So my decision would be based on what I'm going to be using it for. I do like the lightweight aspect of the Bike Friday, that I can fully configure the bike, I can talk to them, all of that. So these two I really like, the last two, one Bike Friday and Reason Muller Tinker. I have a surprise bike for the end. This is number 5. This is not endorsed. This is just an honorable mention. This is a $1,000 bike. This is a Rad Power. It's basically Chinese-built American company. They operate out of the US, but it's all Chinese-made, cheapy, corner cutting. But you get a lot for your money. This is a fat tire bike. You actually can load 3-inch, 4-inch wide tires. It's very powerful, a 750 watt motor without overclocking. That's actually more power than what I have without overclocking on my Interceptor, although this is a massive bike. There is a speed limit at 20 miles per hour, but the whole bike is so cheaply engineered and set up that I bet the sensor is probably mounted somewhere here. To see there is a signal emitter element somewhere attached to maybe a spokes, and then there's a sensor. So by relocating that sensor, you can totally fool it. Your speedometer is going to be off, the odometer is going to be off, but you can easily fool it. It's easy to tune this thing. All the wiring is external. I'm not crazy about the cheap external cassette, but you can easily tune it and get into the system. You get a Chinese-made battery, but so far none of these bikes have burned down, so they do have some decent quality control. It's a cheap latch-based folding mechanism. I mean, it's shocking that it even folds, but this is not the fold you would want to compare to the Brompton or even the Tern. And this is a heavy bike, obviously, very heavy, massive bike. This is more like a moped, local moped for your neighborhood. And if it can do 30-40 miles on a single charge, that's probably going to be enough. You can also easily get a second battery and just put it up here to increase the range. And I mean, the price, you can't argue the price. Plus, there is a monthly lease option if that's what you want. How can you argue that? There is no suspension front and rear. There is actually integrated front lighting. May not be the fanciest. I don't know what this is. It doesn't look bad, but it's integrated. And it's got mud guards. So you do have some support for commuting, local stuff. With these kind of tires, you're definitely not going to be very uncomfortable. I would definitely upgrade the seating column for something with a suspension in it. And the front, it's a really high grip rise bar, which is very comfortable. It takes most of the weight off of the front and switches it to the back. If you upgrade the seat and the seat post to something with a lot of suspension in it, with the fat tires, this is going to be very comfortable. This is the controller. Everything is external. That means it's really easy to get into it and to manipulate it. So it's not a bad bike. Probably not a frame that's going to last for the rest of your life, but it could last a decade. You bought it for $1,000. That's $100 per year, $8-9 per month. If you don't have that much money, you probably should not be looking at electric bikes to begin with. Okay, this is all I have to say. If you don't like these options, we want to build your own, you can check out my book. You can replicate or create a version of what I have built. You have lots of options. I'm not crazy about the G-Line, electric or not. I make no secret of it. And I've tried to make the point in this video that you have plenty of options to choose from. Make sure to check out the links below. I'm providing links to all of this stuff. You can check out my shop and stuff as well. And I'll see you soon enough.
I'll be back.